Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'll do a walking video and talk just about on my thoughts on how to get over a divorce. So before we dive into it, I just want to remind everyone that I'm not a trained counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, or a medical practitioner, and these are just my opinions on how I actually managed to get over my divorce over 7 years now. So let's dive into it. So today, I thought it was a good chance, good opportunity to actually voice some of my dealings on how I actually managed to get over an actual divorce over 6 years now. As we're walking along here, it was a bit windy this morning, pretty cold, chilly. I think it was about 9 degrees when I was taking this walk around midday. But yeah, so I had the dog with me. Good old Ruby, who's a service dog for me, as I'm spend some of my time in a wheelchair. So yeah, so I suppose it's the $1 million question, is it? How do you actually get over a divorce? Some people never do. Some people do. Some people just hide it. But I think there's some things that you should really try to understand and to learn to make your life much easier in transitioning to help you get over an actual divorce. So before saying this next statement, um, you women are probably going to try to bash me senseless with this, but I just want to share some research that recently came out about how men actually experience a lot more issues coming out of a divorce than females. Happy to show you where these studies are, but let's be frank and honest. Studies are factuals, and this is how it is because the reality is that men actually experience a lot more health problems dealing with divorce. We have problems with weight fluctuations, depression, anxiety, and insomnia, which also leads to other medical problems because of those things. But there's also a massive adaptation that us men, being traditional breadwinners, which is probably another statement that I'm going to get bashed over. But so there's a whole financial perspective on how we have to change with that. And there's a huge financial loss in the Western world with men and how courts award payments, which, a lot of things are fair, but some things are just not fair. But that's a different topic for a different day. And there's also a massive loss of identity, um, both in female and males. But I'll just try to give you a perspective of a male here. There's a massive loss of identity. You're feeling worthless and it didn't work out, and you're supposed to just suck it up and get over it. And but the reality is, you can't keep on hiding from what you're actually going through. So, and to top it off with my experience, mine was a little bit different, and everyone's is different um, on what leads up to the divorce and how the divorce happens. But with me, I also was dealing with a brand new spinal injury as well, which left me in a wheelchair. And I'm slowly able to get back up on, well, slowly getting back up onto my feet now. But I'll always be attached to that chair, which doesn't phase me, just the way it is. But that's just an added thing that I had to deal with as well, plus with some young kids and things like that. So um, I thought I'd come up with some actual survival tips, I would say, on trying to actually help you to get over a divorce and try to make that transition as smooth as you can. But there is no easy, quick fix. You just won't wake up one morning and everything is okay. It just won't happen. And I don't want to lie to you. It just won't happen. If it's happened to someone, well, hey, um, hit me up in the comments and good on you if it has. But from everyone I know and from my own personal dealings, it takes time, and some people takes longer. There's some people and some studies out there saying that it'll take you 1 year for every 8 years that you were with your actual partner for. So yeah, so it really depends on the person, but I've got some little survival tips here that we can dive into, and I hope it actually helps a little bit. But before we get much on, bloody hell, this was a cold day today. Walking around with Ruby the Roddy here. She's my service dog, but she's getting a bit old. She's got arthritis really bad, and unfortunately, her days and probably years are numbered. But she's another reason why I got over, or trying to get over everything. Um, Her loyalty has just been amazing, and the way she's helped me is just incredible. So, you know, some people it might be good to get a dog if the circumstances are right. But let's dive into my actual survival tips. So, my number one survival tip, I've got probably about 4 or 5 here. My number one really is make sure your divorce does not affect your kids in any way if you have children to this relationship. I can't stress this enough. You know, it's a hard enough time for your kids as it is. And there is so many people use their kids as weapons and just don't. Don't do it. Like, don't be an idiot, especially for you blokes. Don't be a wanker. Don't be an idiot and be a man. Like, you need to show these kids that no matter what happens, they still have a mother, they still have a father, and things still need to get respected, especially in society. So, in saying that, make sure that the kids have presents for their mother for their birthdays, for Mother's Day, and things like that. Like, your emotions don't really count at this stage for those kind of things. It's about teaching your kids respect and giving them the idea and to show them, no matter what changes, you need to still respect their mother, and your emotions are just not calculated into that at this point in time. Like, don't use your kids because eventually you will push them away, and that's the last thing you want, because once they get old enough to make their decision, and kids are smart, they will. So don't be a flog. My second one really carries on from my first one. That is, kids need stability. So with me, it was really hard. Um, I'll just tell you a little about my situation. Is that, I was living on a farm, just come out of hospital, being put into a wheelchair. Had just come out again out of my second stint. So it was probably about 6, 7 months into the injury. Just finally got home, and then my world just fell apart. I'm not going to go into details why it fell apart, but maybe that's time for a video down the track. But my world came crashing down. So instead of the kids moving out of the house, we selling the house, um, and those things, I thought it was best that the kids actually needed the stability. They needed to keep in the same environment, the same routines to help them deal with it, because they were both very, very young. So even though, looking back on it, was it the right thing to do? I think so for the kids. I still believe that's probably the right thing to do. What does my heart tell me? Stuff her. Like, I should have just sold it, but then it's just not a good solution. It's just a personal emotional gain that I think I was getting for what? So the kids can be under more stress and more duress because of it didn't work out between their dad and their mum. Like, no way. Like, you need to have your head screwed on here, and if you need to do that for your kids, if you really truly love your kids, well then either you or her needs to move out and keep those kids in the same family home if you can, if it's viable, if it's safe. Some lawyers mightn't tell me like me to say that, but you need to get your own lawyer opinions and advice. But from what I believe, I just think it's the kid should always come first. My number three little survival tip is don't lose your shit over your feelings. Like, don't be a tosser. Don't put your feelings before the kids, and don't cause conflict if conflict doesn't need to be caused. Um, you know, Sometimes we get into heated arguments about just stupid stuff just to try to prove that, yes, we're right, or yes, like my emotional status is more important than yours. Like, it's not. Everyone's emotional state is important, and I just don't lose your shit over your feelings and try to keep your head, because if you lose your shit, what generally happens is it'll lead to nowhere good. It'll lead you to a bad place. It could get you in trouble with the law. It could do some stupid things that in the end you'll probably end up regretting. So if you can, try to keep your head screwed on. Now, this next tip is probably one of my big ones, and I've seen a lot of this um, between some friends and stuff like that, and that is don't become an addict of anything, of alcohol, of drugs, um, even sexual encounters. Like, just don't, because that will just lead to absolutely a place where you just don't really want to be. And then you have to deal with that plus everything else on top eventually down the track. You might think it's your escape, or you might be trying to use it as to hide how you are, but just, you know, grow some balls, as they say. And, you don't need that in your life, especially now trying to deal with your actual divorce. So don't become an addict. Don't try to find an easy way out. Tackle your problems head on, break them down bit by bit by bit. And I can actually go into detail with that on another video, but um, just learn to break everything down into tiny little micro bits if that helps. But yeah, don't become an addict. And probably one of my last survival tips is don't bounce into a brand new relationship if you can. Now, sometimes it was premeditated before your other relationship finished. Let's be honest. But if you can, don't bounce into a new relationship. The reason I say that is you need to deal with what has happened. You need to do that. You don't want to be dragging that into your new relationship. It's not right for you, and it's not right for your new partner. So if you can avoid it, don't bounce back into a new relationship. Um, I don't really want to get into much more, as this video will go on for way too long. And but you also need to understand some stages of grief as well. Some people say there's five, some people say there's seven stages of grief, but generally, um, I find there's usually about five. But there is the actual denial, there's the anger, there's the bargaining, depression, and the acceptance. So just understand that it will take you time to get over your divorce. Just take it each minute by minute, hour by hour if you need to, and day by day, as it's going to be an emotional roller coaster that it needs to run its course. And you need to be in a good place down the track, not only for yourself, for your kids, and your future partner. So hopefully that's helped a bit with a few survival tips that I used to help get over my actual divorce. But yeah, we're going to go into some more videos, and dive into things into a lot more depth. But I thought that was just a good broad aspect on the things that I used to help try to deal with my divorce, and some handy little hints to try to help you get on your way and try to keep the situation as normal as you can in these really turbulent times. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know. Make sure you make a comment down below on, if you got any questions or anything like